The message lit up my phone like a warning siren in the dead of night. I told my boss you hit me so I could get sympathy leave for a... I stared at the screen, frozen. My heart sank, my stomach twisted. I had trusted her, loved her, believed her laughter, her excuses, her tears. And now, those same words branded me as something I had never been. I read the text again, slower this time, trying to convince myself it was a mistake, an exaggeration. But deep down, I knew the tone of those 3 lines carried precision, a knife disguised as a whisper. I remembered that morning, her smile at the breakfast table, the way she touched my arm, casual and warm, nothing that would hint at the storm she had been quietly building. Every laugh now felt rehearsed, every glance a test. How long had this been happening? Weeks? Months? The thought gnawed at me, each second stretching into a painful eternity. By noon my phone buzzed again. Another message: don't try to deny it. I've already explained everything. It's your nose now. They're asking me about your temper. My fingers trembled. This wasn't just a lie, it was a calculated story, a narrative spun to make me look like the villain in a room full of witnesses I hadn't even met. I wanted to respond, to shout, to prove myself, but I remembered the first lesson in love and survival. Silence is a weapon. I let the text sit there, glowing, a testament to betrayal. It wasn't enough that I was furious. It wasn't enough that my chest ached with disbelief. I needed proof, clarity, a way to untangle the lies from reality. And somewhere, buried under the fear and anger, I knew what had to happen next. The office had always seemed like neutral ground, a place where logic ruled and evidence mattered. But today it was a battlefield, and I hadn't even arrived yet. She had planted her words, her story, into the minds of those who didn't know me, who had never seen the patience, the care, the countless days I had spent proving myself through actions, not excuses. I remembered the night before, replaying it like a slow-motion recording in my mind. We had argued over something trivial, the kind of thing couples fight about silently, until it simmers into resentment. But I never raised my hand, never let anger dictate my actions. She knew that. That's why this lie hurt so deeply. It wasn't just a misrepresentation. It was a calculated attempt to rewrite history, to paint me as a monster with the precision of a sculptor chiseling lies into stone. I sat in my car outside her building, hands clenched, breathing shallow. The truth, I realized, would not announce itself. I would have to craft it, document it, prove it in a way that could not be denied. Every conversation, every text, every minor detail had to be accounted for. I opened my phone and began scrolling through our messages, screenshots I had taken for memories, now transformed into shields against deceit. By evening I had a plan, not of revenge, not of confrontation, but of revelation. She would believe she had control. She would think her story had taken root, but I would let the truth grow silently, relentlessly. And when the moment came, every lie she had told would unravel in the eyes of those she had tried to convince, exposing the careful choreography of her betrayal. And all the while, I reminded myself, patience is more powerful than anger, observation stronger than accusation. She didn't know it yet, but the balance had shifted. The day arrived quietly, unassuming like any other. She walked into HR with confidence, head held high, certain her story would dominate the room. I followed shortly after, calm, collected, carrying nothing but the truth and the evidence that had quietly accumulated over weeks. When she began to speak, every word precise, every detail calculated, I listened. Then, when her boss turned to me expecting defensiveness, outrage, or denial, I remained silent for a moment, long enough to let the tension settle. And then I spoke. Not in anger, not in accusation, but in clarity. I presented every text, every timestamp, every small contradiction that wove a pattern she could not escape. The atmosphere shifted. Confidence faltered. Her carefully built story began to unravel like thread from a spool. I didn't need to yell or plead. The truth spoke louder than any argument could. By the end, the room understood. Her plan, meticulously crafted, collapsed quietly but completely. She left, stunned, her smile gone, replaced with disbelief. And as I stepped out, I felt a strange calmness, the kind that comes from knowing you didn't fight with fury, you fought with patience, precision, and the unshakable power of truth. Sometimes the greatest victories are silent. And sometimes, the ones who think they control the story are the first to realize they were never in charge.